Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Clarence Muggs along with the coach at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill. Coach, as is our custom, we start talking LSU Tiger football. Tigers do it yet again, completely dismantling another opponent. This time, Jalen Hurts and Oklahoma.
Yeah, they had some concern about Jalen coming into the game because of what he had done to them when he was with Bama.
Right.
And that running quarterbacks had created some problems for the defense. But I tell you what, they proved all of that wrong once the game started.
Did you see this one coming, at least to this extent, the way it all unfolded, Coach?
Well, I felt that even if Oklahoma had those 3 or 4 players that were suspended,
right,
LSU still was the prohibitive favor, and that they would score a lot of points.
Right.
But I couldn't see that many points and that many touchdowns.
Right. It was one of those cases where the coaching staff truly earned their money this time around, because as you mentioned, a lot of people felt that OU would give us problems, particularly with the likes of Jalen Hurts, his throwing ability, his running ability, but you give this coaching staff this much time to get ready for anybody, and the opposition's going to be in trouble, Coach.
They ought to. You saw where they're going to make all that $1.2 million bonus. They should.
Yeah.
But no, they really did a good job of preparing the young people. And the young people went out and executed a game plan. I tell you, from a coaching standpoint, that is the most beautiful thing, when you could get your kids to execute a game plan.
It's really kind of easy when you step back and look at this whole thing from an outsider's perspective. When you look at the very top and how the various layers all mesh, particularly from a coaching standpoint, in working with one another to achieve that common goal, it's really not all that hard to see where the team learns that lesson from and why they're able to be so successful in that regard.
I think Bebe Ogeron did a masterful job of relaxing not only his players but his coaching staff.
Yeah.
I think he made them feel, he gave them the rein to go do your job. Just do your job.
Yeah.
And the kids responded to the game plan that was put out in front of them.
There's a wise fellow I heard one time say, your job is to do your job. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, you saying it.
That's who actually said it. You know, a lot of folks are also worried as well, Coach, wondering, with all the distraction from the Heisman Trophy week, if that was going to leave Joe and the coaching staff a little distracted come game time. Joe even said himself that, the pomp and circumstance, that's nice and fun and dandy and whatnot, but I'm upset because these guys are at home watching film, learning what I do when I can't watch film to learn what they're doing. You can't teach that in a kid, can you?
No, you really can't, Clarence. There are some other things that we need to throw in there.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of distraction with that, and so many kids went in the water and they were away from the team.
Yeah.
But the other thing too, you had Christmas, and the
Good
best
point.
thing that team, when they took the team away from Baton Rouge and took them to Atlanta, that way you took them from a certain element that could have the family
Great
members
point.
taking
Great
one in their
point.
time. Now they was concentrating on doing community service, practicing in Atlanta. They had some privacy where you probably would have lost it had you been here in Baton Rouge.
That's a heck of an observation. How special is this group, and how special is it to have them remain this focused for this long a period of time and still focused to this minute?
It seemed like an eternity.
Yeah.
It seemed that, but you know what? From the head on down, I think Coach O and his staff have done a really good job keeping the kid. And we talk about that beautiful building that they just completed.
Right.
Having the kids in a safe haven, and the fact that they had good leadership that kept all of the teammates kept each other in line.
Yeah.
And they didn't get in any trouble
That's
during
right.
the course of the year.
That's right. It is truly something to behold. When we come back, we will talk a little more purple and gold when this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show continues. We'll tell you something about the shirts, too. You got to come back. Stick
There you
around.
go. Look at here. There we go. They know.
Break out of the chaos.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach? Told you.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Welcome back for segment 2 of this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Clarence Buggs along with the coach at Scoreboards, 10655 Coursey Boulevard, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill. Coach, how much redemption was there in both beating Alabama and Jalen Hurts at OU in the same season, 2 of the biggest games? What kind of redemption was involved in all of this, Coach?
You know what? All the stars are aligned right.
Yeah.
Every now and then the stars get aligned right, and you get that. I mean, Jalen Hurts had been a thorn in their side.
Yep.
And now they really got him back. And they got Alabama on their own home field.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really been a magical year for the LSU Tigers.
You talk about that magic. One thing, and am I the only one that's noticed that the annual ritual, and God bless him, this is no knock on him because I love him as a guy, I respect him as a man and a coach. But quite frankly, in recent memory, we had gotten to the point where you could pretty much set your clock that it's a month before football season by opening up the paper and seeing LSU football players arrested for. Now that Coach O has taken over the reins of this program and is firmly in control of this program, you don't hear about that kind of thing happening and disrupting the program anymore. Am I the only one that's noticed this, Coach?
Well, you're the only one talking about it.
Yeah.
But we're gonna think somebody else out there have noticed it also.
Yeah.
I tell you, it's really, I mean, when you think about how difficult it is, because to win championships, you have to go get some aggressive players.
Right.
I mean, that's what they do. These players who are aggressive usually get in trouble. Somebody's going to challenge them, and they're not going to back down.
Right.
But for some reason, this team has been aggressive, but they've done the job when they get back into real society. And that's a tribute to the coaching staff and the players, but more than the players, their parents. Their parents have done a really good job of teaching them how to act right.
And a little further down the road, this also makes some pretty valuable inroads as far as recruiting that same caliber of young man for resulting classes to come to Louisiana State University?
Yeah, you always want to recruit them finest kids, but you know, at the level LSU plays in, you got to win championship. And sometimes coaches will tell you, I got to have that aggressive kid.
Right.
Give me aggression.
Right.
You got to be aggressive in there. I think it's no magic. It's no real science. You just don't know what's going to happen. But for this year, let's just say they did it the right way.
You and I were among a group of folks who believed in Bebe from day one. I mean, there's just some folks could see something inside of him. I mean, it's easy because it just bubbles all out of him. His love for LSU, his natural leadership ability, and his love for the task of making productive citizens out of young men. But when you believe in somebody early in the process and you watch it evolve, you watch it unfold, that's a very special thing in the end, isn't it?
It is. You know, the Bebe got the same namesake as I.
Right.
So, you know, I believed in him from day one because I knew he loved his players, and he was a good coach. He just, the two stints he had at Ole Miss and then Southern Cal, it wasn't going to win there.
Right.
He needed to be home where the people love him. And with him being here and back in Louisiana, eating the good food.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Baby, you're the best.
And when it comes down to it, Coach, that's another classic example of why when you are giving 110% and you're believing in what you're doing, it's important that despite whatever the circumstances at the time may be, you don't give up on yourself.
That's right. You never want to give up on yourself, even though someone else may.
Right.
But you can't give up on yourself.
When we come back, we will shift gears from purple and gold and talk a little black and gold when this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show continues. Stay close.
Looking to get some keys made, locks rekeyed, or a wide variety of new and used safe? Then look no further than the trusted choice of Alfred Safe and Lock. Conveniently located off of Government Street in Mid-City, Baton Rouge. Trust the expert locksmith at Alfred for all of your residential, commercial, and industrial lock and safe needs. Trusted by Baton Rouge and me, Roger Cador, to protect what is yours since 1946.
Break out of the chaos.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Mandeville at 985-722-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Mandeville at 985-722-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Coach, you are holding up one of the many shirts that we have here, and it's a great group of folks over at Bayou Apparel that have acquired the rights. And we're going to speak with the good folks over there before the end of the show today. But first of all, we'll ask the guys in the truck if they would be so kind. We'll go ahead and roll the highlights from that historic Peach Bowl win, and we will hopefully have our Marty, our VO, already laid down for this, correct? Okay, so we can't talk over it.
I tell you what, that was the first touchdown was really nice. And then here, I mean, Burrow knows how to really move and get it, find vibe time in that pocket. And Jefferson have just been so outstanding. You know, the younger brother of Jordan Jefferson.
It's just so many weapons, Coach. It's impossible for you to key on shutting any one particular weapon down because Joe just checks off to the next one.
He does, you know. And what would that be to have two different brothers? Did Jordan Jefferson win the national championship? I couldn't remember if the quarterback Jefferson won.
Was Jordan?
Well, I can't say, but look at here.
And
ooh, look at the coaches. Ooh, yeah, but
you throw into there the mix of what I don't know what any quarterback could be thinking trying to throw against this defense, particularly when you've got the likes of Stingley, Darryl Stingley Jr. patrolling out there in center field. I mean, it takes a man with more guts than I have to stand back in that pocket and try to throw the ball against this defense, particularly over the last 3 to 4 weeks to a month's time.
Yeah, you know, the Stingley family. I recruited Stingley's dad.
Really?
Yeah, his dad came to Southern
wow,
to play
I didn't
baseball.
know that.
Yeah, that's you know, that's how they end up in Baton Rouge.
Son of a gun.
Yes.
And now you all know the rest of the story.
The rest of the story. I don't know why I hadn't shared it with you all earlier. If his dad is listening, he'll be jumping up and down.
Wow.
But he's one of the kids I brought down from Chicago. And,
that
you know, brought
amazing.
him in his daddy because he had gotten hurt in the NFL. And there was a scholarship available for his son. And that's how we got him to Baton Rouge at Southern. So now you know a little history.
Now you know the rest of the story.
The Red Paul Harvey. I used to listen to him as a kid. The rest of the story.
Wow. Yeah,
So LSU, you owe me for bringing the boy's daddy down here.
There you go. There you go.
They don't care to vary, you better repay me.
It is amazing how small the world is, and the fact that it gets smaller and smaller every day, Coach.
It does get smaller, so I'm glad I wanted to share. This is a good time to share it
Talk
with
about,
the listening public. Yeah.
Wow. Now you truly know the rest of the story. Stay with us. We'll be back with some black and gold next on this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Stay close.
Hey, Coach Roger Cador here. There's something about teamwork that brings the best out in any business. When I need a tow, I call Roadrunner Towing. Roadrunner's 4 generations strong and homegrown right here in Baton Rouge.
Thanks, Coach. There's no job too large or too small. Call Roadrunner for quick, reliable, exceptional service. We don't want an arm and a leg. We just want your toes. And remember, take time each day to be a blessing to someone. Thank you.
Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Hi folks, Clarence Buggs here. Coach Roger Cador would take the time to tell you how to catch our brand new show, The Roger Cador Show, but as you can see, he's kind of busy right now out at Scoreboards, Baton Rouge's newest sports grill with food that is absolutely amazing. Catch the show 8 o'clock Tuesday nights, 6:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, and on Pelican Television's YouTube channel as well. You want to come out and have a great time. It's awesome, isn't it, Coach?
Mm-hmm.
Told you. Straight to Saints highlights. Welcome back for this week's edition of the Roger Cador Show. Without any further ado, we're going to go ahead and roll the highlights because we've got a special presentation with Dave McNamara that we want to spend some time with. Coach, Saints took care of business in the regular season finale against the Panthers. Unfortunately, it's a little too late as we end up as the number 3 seed.
Yeah, it goes to show you how good the league was this year when you're 13-3 and you can't get a first round bye.
Yeah.
So it's really tough.
When you reach that level and you look at the fact that you laid an egg, a 7-1 team losing to a 1-7 Atlanta team, and it ends up costing you dearly. Is it more playing down to the level of competition, or is it more believing your own hype, or is it just a little bit of both, you think?
It's a little bit of, could be a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. Remember, New England was playing the lowly Miami Dolphins yesterday, Sunday, and they lost.
Good point.
So the NFL, anytime you get to the pro level, anybody can beat anybody on a given day. Yeah. Records you can throw out of the window.
Now, on the positive side, it seems as though the Saints seem to be peaking at just the right time, especially when they're starting to get healthy.
Yeah, and remember, we got to keep in mind that Drew Brees now is hitting the right mark with him after being out for 5 weeks, so he's getting right back where he should be.
Yeah, and the good news, I guess, more so than anything, is that this team has learned how to win on the road. We all know we can win in the Dome. Teams all around the conference, all around the league, hate the prospect of playing in the Dome. But we've won now 7 straight on the road, so we can pack this thing up, go on the road, and we can still win.
Or you can still win. You got to get the right matchup and make it work, So it'll all work out. If the Saints just keep playing good defense, we know offensively we can do the job, okay?
All right, so do we have one more break, Marty? Is that what you're telling me? No. All right, well, come on. We're gonna slide you right on in.
Come on.
Dane McNamara, owner of Bayou Apparel. We're gonna slide you right on here in the middle, in between the two of us as we continue this conversation. Folks, all throughout the course of this broadcast today have noticed the various shirts that we have. We've got one gracing the front of our set. Coach has been very enthusiastically waving others at the camera throughout the course of the show. Dave is the owner of Bayou Apparel. So how is it that you guys have the right to all of this, Dave?
We've been in the business, 25 years and well respected with LSU, so that helps a lot. And
right.
Of course, you have to buy the rights, so you have to take a gamble and put up a lot of money for all this.
Speaking of taking a gamble, did you have any hesitation? I mean, earlier on, there were a lot of folks pushing a lot of other names around for Heisman and so on and so forth, but obviously you all believed in Joe Burrow.
Yes, we did. We secured the license and actually printed early. Had them in the stores before the announcement. So
wow.
Yeah, I'd say it was a gamble.
Wow. Was it worth it?
Paid off.
Right. It didn't take him long to answer that question, right? So where are you located? Where can folks pick up their officially licensed merchandise?
We are a wholesaler, so basically we get the merchandise, put it into the retailers. We
Right.
sell it to the retailers for them to retail to the general public. So we only
Outstanding.
deal with retailers. But you can go to, all the Academy Sports and Outdoor stores in the state, Purple and Gold. Locally owned, has everything we're carrying, all of the both Heisman designs, the Heisman posters, and they also have every shirt we're doing for the championship, the head-to-head Clemson LSU shirts. So and then you have Alumni Hall over on Perkins Row, you have the sports shop on campus, all over the state. Any of the Tiger stores, they're all carrying it, so it's a big deal.
How wary do people need to be in the digital age where people are counterfeiting and doing all sorts of things? How wary do we need to be sure that we are actually getting what we're paying for, Dane?
Actually, just had that conversation with the licensing director at LSU.
Really?
The compliance issues have been, just nonstop with people using Joe Burrow's name, which, you can't do. He's a student athlete, Roger,
Right.
as you well know, being a
Right.
coach. You can't. So they've been, working relentlessly to stop this and just infringing on LSU's marks. It's going to happen. So I would say, do your shopping at a store reputable store that carries LSU products. Look for the hologram. Always look for the hologram.
Good advice. What's been most rewarding out of this whole adventure for Dane?
Wow, just being an LSU fan, being born in Baton Rouge, just being a part of it. This is,
Right.
I guess my way of being a part of this championship
Right.
and this great run. What a season!
Did you see this one coming?
I've had a good feeling all year. Sure have, even on the off season.
Yeah. Well, he again is the guy that when you look for the hologram and you're given that wonderful piece of merchandise, he's the guy whose office is responsible for making sure that you get what you pay for. He's the guy that comes up with all these great designs and ideas. And he's the guy that makes sure they distribute it through all the reputable outlets out there. So make it a point. These sorts of things only happen for some of us once in a lifetime. Get out, get your merchandise, and appreciate the moment and live in it. On behalf of the coach and the crew, I'm Clarence Buggs. We will see you next week with another edition of the Roger Cador Show. Till then, go Giants.